So we're back again with another repair video, more of a simple one at that. This video is mainly going to be for beginners. This is going to be me showing you how to oil a clock movement. Now if you're just starting out on clock repair, or you're a clock collector and want to start repairing your own clocks, this video is for you. So let's get into this, and I'm going to be showing you what you're gonna need for a typical clock oiling job. So let's get started. The first two things you'll need are some toothpicks and some paper towels to put that old gunky oil on. The next few things you'll need is your clock oil, obviously. In this case I am using Horace Whitlock's synthetic clock oil, which I highly recommend because it's a good brand and it'll last you a long time. Then you'll need a little oiling cup to put your oil on, some little oil picks. Me personally, I use this one right here for the bigger pivots, such as these ones for the mainsprings. Then for the smaller pivots, like what the fly fan and warning wheels use, I use a smaller oiler pick. But you could do it either way. You could either have just this one or this one. You could do it either way. So that's what you'll need. And last but not least, you'll need a little, preferably magnetic dish tray to put all the little small parts on, like the pins that hold on the dial to the movement, the hands that go onto the hand shaft of the movement, and the little hand nut. So let's begin with the process of oiling. So let's get started with oiling this movement, which this movement I'm going to be using as a demonstration on. This is the movement that came out of my Westwood triple chime. There's the dial over there. The case is behind me. I took the movement out because it hasn't been serviced in a while, so I figured I'd make this video while I have it out, and just to show you how to oil a movement. Which in this case, this is a triple chime Hermle made in '86, and the voice crack, and the model number of the movement is a 1051-031A movement, where this model includes a side striking chime side, where the usual, it's just on the bottom, it's on the side here. So let's begin. Okay, so you guys could do this either way, but I like to go from bottom to top, and I usually start with the back plate of the movement. I mean, you guys could do it either way you want to, but I usually start from the back plate. So let's begin. So you're going to take your toothpick and just go around the pivot like so. Until you start seeing some of this. It may not look like much, but that's old, dried up, and possibly grease, and yeah, old dried up oil in those pivots from it not being serviced. That's what happens with a lot of movements. They're typically not serviced within the years they should be. So that's why I find a lot of these movements when I get like new clocks. I see a lot of these movements have just junk on them. Like, dude, get your clock serviced, or maybe they just didn't have the money, because getting a clock fixed is a big job, and it's expensive. Yeah. So once you think you have all the oil out, you can go through it with a paper towel or napkin, whatever you want to choose. I just use a napkin. And see, got out the rest. Now I can do the other side. Now this is optional, but I usually like to go through it one more time before I move on to the next pivot. Yep, that seemed to get everything off. Let's see here. Yep, that seemed to do the trick. So, that's what you call a clean pivot versus a non-clean one. Now we can move on to this one. This one's a bit smaller, so you do gotta be a little bit more careful. But just like what we did with the previous one, we go around and get out all that old junk on there. And look at that. May not look like much again, but that's enough to make your movement pivots wear out. Well, if it accumulates over time, like if more gets added on to there, if you don't service a clock within the years it's supposed to be serviced in, you'll get severe pivot wear. I know from experience, because I do have a couple of clocks that do have severe pivot wear, which I do gotta sort out whenever I learn how to do bushings. Well, that one had a little bit more on it. Let me see if that sort of helps. Let's keep going. So a little bit more on there, but let's see if the paper towel can get it out. And I got most of it out, but there's still a little bit more on there. So let me see what I can do here. Okay, I think I got most of that oil out. It looks pretty good. But yeah, like I said, if you really want to get all that old gunk out, you gotta completely disassemble to overhaul the movement to get all of that stuff out. But in this case, I'm just showing you guys how to oil the movement for beginners, basically. So yeah. Alright, I'm going to continue by doing these, then I'll catch you guys when I'm almost done with this. Ooh, there we go. See, look at that. Look at all that. That is what you don't want in your pivots. Okay, looks like everything is cleaned. I got all that old gunk off of the pivots and yeah. So this back side is done. Everything is fully cleaned, and here I'll show you the aftermath of what I have gathered here. It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. Considering all this came out from these tiny little pivots, but yeah, look at that. Yep, that's, yeah, I know it's disgusting, but it is, but that's what you're gonna find in your movements if you don't get them serviced. So yeah. Alright, now we can move on to the front side. Then, when I'm done with that, I'll show you guys something that I do to these movements again This thing that I do is optional, but I just like to do it just to make sure, just to make sure of the runnability of my clocks. So here we go. Yeah, so here's the front side, and this is where all the lifting levers are, and then you got the rack right there, and then the snail. Yeah, you got your motion works here too as well, and here's your ratchets for the arbors here for the springs. And there's not that many pivots on this side, even though it is the same, but there are some pivots where they're kind of hidden. So you gotta kind of move some stuff around, kind of like this. Because if you push this up, see if I can get it. Here we go. See, if you push this up, it kind of hides it. But if you move this down, you can see it, and it just started chiming. Let's start with this one right here. Now again, just like what we did with the back side, this is the same process. Pick out all the old gunk, put that old stuff on a napkin. Then if you'd like, you can go through it a second time, but this is just what I do, just to make sure I got everything out. But again, you do you. Then once you got all that old gunk out, you can move on to the next. I'm gonna do maybe like one or two more right here. Then I'll do the rest off camera, so I don't bore you guys with this. Did I get that? Yeah, I did. Okay, that one looks good. And we can do this one. This one has a little bit of gunk, but not too much. You move that lever. Just nope. That does not help. Got it. Sheesh. It's a lot. But not like the last pivot. Guess the garbage truck came through. They come here every now and then. Okay. That looks good, but I'll go through it one more time. In case if you're wondering, I bought this clock for like, what did I pay for this? I bought this clock for like $60. Yeah, I bought this clock for $60 off a marketplace in Temple City, California, by another collector, which he has some pretty good stuff on his site. And this was one of the clocks that he was selling. So, pretty happy about that. Plus, I've always wanted a side striking triple chime wall clock. And what'd you know? Got one a few months ago. Not sure if you can see that there, but looks like we got a worn bushing, which there's probably more. Probably all the bushings need to be replaced, but I'm not too sure about that yet. But that is what you don't want on your movement, is bushing wear. Okay, I have finished picking out all the pivots of any dried up oil, and all of them seem to... Just slide that back onto St. Michael's. I think that's Whittington. I don't know. Anyways, back to what I was saying. I have completely finished cleaning out all the pivots of any dried up oil, and they all look fine. I'll go ahead and show you the back too. Here's the back side. Looks way better than before. Yep. Now before I get to oil this thing, yes I know. Don't worry, I'll get to that part. Just wait a sec. I'm going to show you what I like to do before I oil my movements. Now this is optional. You don't have to do this. It's not really necessary. But it's just something I like to do. Yeah, it's just something I like to do just to make sure of the running of my movements. What I like to do is take the escapement verge off, just to make sure that there's not any gunk in there, because sometimes there can be in those pallets. So I'm going to take that off and quickly clean it, and after that, then we can get to the fun part of oiling. Okay, I have it off here. I went ahead and cleaned it up already. Looks a little bit more better than it did before. There was a little bit of gunk on there, but I got it off. Now, just before I put everything back on, I do want to mention this because of course I forgot to mention this. Do I recommend you do this by taking off the escapement? No, I do not recommend you do this as a beginner. But yeah, I do not recommend you do this as a beginner. It doesn't mean you should. I'm not saying you should do this. But if you're a beginner who is just starting out on repair, I do not recommend you do this. But if you're more experienced on clock repairing and you know what you're doing, go for it. But as a beginner, I do not recommend you do this. But again, this is just something I do just to make sure of the safety and good healthy running of my clocks. Because I'm a bit more, I don't mean to brag here, but I'm a bit more experienced on repairing clocks. Sorry if I bragged there, but I wasn't trying to. But I'm just saying. But again, this is just this is just what I do. This is just what I do to help the run. Or I can't speak today. I can never speak all the time. But I do it anyways, just to help the running condition of my clocks. But again, I'll say this one more time. Should you do this? No. As a beginner, I do not recommend you do this. But if you're more experienced, if you're more experienced on clock repairing, go for it. But if you're not, I do not recommend you do this. I do not recommend you do this until you're a bit more experienced. But again, this is just something I do. So here's the verge again, one last time before I put it back in. There's the what is it? Yeah, there's the bridge there, the two screws. Then I have a toothpick holding the escapement in place so it doesn't free spin all over the place. I already cleaned out that pivot there where this one sits on. And now I'm going to put it back in, and now we can get to the fun part of oiling. Okay, I got the verge back on with everything in place. See, you can see it's ticking there. Now we can go ahead and finally oil it. Okay, now we can begin to oil. I have my oiler right there. I forgot to record, but I did these 3 off camera, and focus, and I did this one right here as well off camera with this bigger one. Now I'm gonna go in with the smaller pick, this one for the smaller pivots. So here we go. Oh, there we go. Let's start with this one. Now the key is to not add too much or too little oil, because too little oil will not really do anything for your clock. Too much oil will overflow the pivot, and the excess oil will drip down onto the movement and probably into other pivots and pull that oil out, which that will cause problems in the future if you don't get that sorted out, which you do not want. The key is to add not too much or too little oil to where it doesn't do any of that, like this. Like this. that right there should be the right amount. It's not too much to where it's gonna overflow. It's the right amount should be. And that's what you want. Now, since we're already on the strike side movement, we can go ahead and do these. And I forgot to clean out a pivot that was hidden. 1 second. And we are back. Now we can continue. And I just missed there. That okay. We will do this one. This one over here. Then I'll do these last ones right here of the strike side. Then I'll do the rest off camera. Oh, that might be too much. See, that's what you don't want. You gotta add just the right amount, but hey, it happens. So I can get it here. Okay. And we can do this one up here. Alright. That's the strike side done. Then I'll do the rest off camera. Then I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. Ooh, this is going to be a long video than I anticipated. And we are done. The whole movement has been oiled from front to back. I did the back side. See, those pivots are a lot better now. Then I did the front side there as well. I went ahead and wound the movement all the way up, so probably within a few days this movement will be, well, the chime side at least will be a little bit more faster. But here I can trigger the chimes for you. I have it on Whittington. So yeah, everything has been cleaned, and it should be ready to go with it. It should be ready to go for about maybe 2 years. Who knows? I might overhaul it within a year or two, or maybe sooner. I'm not too sure. I mean sooner, but sooner I mean by like a year or maybe 2 years. I'm not too sure. But yeah. This whole movement has been oiled and it should be ready to go. Anyways, I think that's gonna conclude this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And hopefully this video helped out. Helped out you guys any way, shape, or form. And bye.